Today we're bringing back the Twerking Minnow, one of my favourite streamers of all time, courtesy of a new material that's come onto the market to replace the original material I tied this out of, the DNA Holofusion. Well, this is from South Africa, Flektra Fusion, just add H2O products, and distributed by Renzetti. So there's a bunch of ways you can wrap in the tails. I've been playing with this, just tying them in horizontally flat. It just seems to work with a batch of feathers I've got. So now as you go with Flektra Fusion, it's a synthetic with built-in flash, and it gives a lot of shine. Now there's a few things to it. Don't use too much. You drag out a fairly thin strand when you're pulling it out of the side of the bag. That'll stop it getting all matted up, and you can kind of see that it even drags out extra fibres. Right, so we've got our tapered piece, and I tapered it off a little on the end there on the right side. This is the cut end, and you can see I'm actually going to taper it a little more and measure. Now I fold I'm going to show you this properly here in a second, because I kind of have got a technique. I just tuck it back in my hand to cut it off and tie it to length. Measure your top piece, which will be your first side tied in, and then take away the excess. Right, so we've got two square ends. Now you're going to just pull on both ends and just kind of wiggle them out. It'll actually increase your length a little bit, so you can have, when you first measure in a little shorter. Right, just tie it in the middle, because this stuff is slippery, right? Notoriously. Right, get it measured to your first point. Okay, now put it in and use your thumb to press down on that second batch of fibres, and it'll kind of push it around the hook a little bit. And you'll see lots of stragglers with this. Don't worry too much about it. You clean them up at the end. So we're going, this is a medium olive on the top, and we're going with white on the belly, classic. Okay, you notice I fold it back in my hands, which is the fast way for me to do it, right? But just show you how I taper that off. So we tie it in the middle, straight on top of the first stack we tied. In, push down with your thumb, stroke it around the hook shank. A few wraps to tie it off, move the thread forward, and away we go. Now the technique is just going to keep building. We're going to keep just stacking it along the hook shank. I'll actually tie each clump ahead of the one on top or below. So you're just easing your way along that shank, so you're not getting too much bulk in here. It's one of these things you're just going to play with a little bit, according to how big your clumps are and so on. And everyone's going to tie too much material in their first time. Don't worry about it. As you get going, as you keep tying these, you'll get skinnier and skinnier. And again, as I said, look at all these stragglers. If some of the patches, if some of the strands are hanging out too long, don't worry, we've just trimmed these up at the end. Okay, so whip finish, UV glue, hit it with a light, holds all that together. I try and run a little bit up onto the fibres, just to give it a little bit more durability, not just on the thread. And there's your first fly. Now you can fish this fly on its own. It swims. You can put a head on it and fish this, definitely. So the single hook version, that is the bush pig. That was the original version. And this fly really likes the strip and pause retrieve. Just break up your strip so it's not a constant movement. You want that speed up and accelerate and decelerate. and you'll start to notice it dancing around side by side. Okay, so 25-pound mono, stick a wonder bead on it. Yeah, bind that down, wrap forward, pull both strands back, wind it. It's going to give you an ugly little bump in there, but you can manage around it on big flies like this. But it gives you a super solid, super durable fly. These flies will last for years. Do you like the little hook keeper there to keep your fly stretched out and stop you stabbing yourself back hook? Okay, that is the Nick Grove model of the saltwater clouser. Blacked out, super trick. Love that hook keeper for tying big streamers and plenty of room around that fly. I still have my old 25. I still have my old 25-year-old Renzetti Traveller that has been in solid use and been in a lot of videos. The thing to keep an eye on is just getting balance of materials in here. So your length is coming good. You're getting a nice flow. Now I pull clumps a little shorter as I get to the head, longer at the start, and then just balancing it. So I'm just tapering that body back. And as you can see, as you work along the fly, the closer you tie the clumps to each other, the steeper the angle will be away from the hook shank, so give you a taller body. And the more you space them out, the flatter a body you'll get. Just build yourself up a nice solid body and come to the end. And I like to leave myself a bit of space for this version of the fly. So I tie this fly three ways. I tie it the original version, which is the optic eye with the UV glue and two holographic dome eyes. Just using the UV glue to fill in the gap, and swims great. There is a baitfish head version using the medium, small, and small baitfish heads that will dive and let me tell you, it swims its way to the bottom. It can be lethal. This version I've been playing around with for a couple of years. Basically, I broke a head off a fly and I was really lazy and I had a bunch of brushhead materials around from tying brushhead deceivers, and why not? Really good action. It's light to throw. Just another version. So you're getting three different sink rates effectively on these. This one obviously sinks the least, but lots of side-to-side action draws in those fish. I don't know if Alex Lafkas originated these, but certainly he popularised. And the brushheads, like his brushhead deceiver, has become a go-to for a lot of guys down here. It's a little fly that fishes big. Easy peasy. So this brushhead heads will fill in a lot of places and just give you a slightly different game. You can see this runs in about that 6-inch mark. Just trim off. You can see I've trimmed off all the extra fibres, cleaned it up. Thanks for watching. Entice them, go fish it.